this is my office. Of course, the campus is closed. I'm actually in my office. I can go into campus 2 days a week. If you need to leave a voicemail, that's my phone number, but since no one's here to answer that phone, it's best that you email me. And when you email me, use the Canvas email system. The Canvas email system is like this. Let me just share that with you real quick so that you guys can see how that works. I guess this would be it right here. This is what your homepage would look like. Right now, you guys have access this Zoom session through this link down here. It's Confer Zoom. And if we have a meeting, if I give you an option to meet, this is where you would link up to. But this is the left menu. You will be spending most of your time on the module page. That's where you find all the material for this course. But on the left part, you should give yourself a profile, give yourself an avatar. You can just click on that. And under profile, you guys can give yourself an icon here. And that would be nice. I'd like to see who are you in terms of what you look like, and that would be helpful. But in here as well, what you will see is this inbox. And in this inbox, if you click on it, you will see the email system for Canvas. And you can see I've got a couple of 3 email here, but what you just need to do is you need to find the course, okay? And then just go here if you want to email me, and then just click on the fact that you're going to email your teacher or maybe a fellow student. And then fire me an email again through Canvas. If you need to send an attachment, you do it through here. I'd prefer an email through Canvas because I'm constantly looking at Canvas probably 2 or 3 times a day. And I do that on a daily basis. And so if there's an email here, I'll spot it right here, okay? And I'll usually get to it within a day. If you send it via Gmail, and that's what you see in this information page right here, what happens a lot is that it might get lost in the spam box. I've seen that happen, or it might get lost in the stacks. And when it gets below a certain amount, then I might not be able to see it right away. So the idea of this course, Chemistry and Society, is to give you an idea. It's a science course, but we don't really try and emphasize math that much. I know that a bunch of you are intimidated by math. We can't avoid it, but we can minimize it, okay? And that means that you still need to deal with numbers. And that's because when we deal with science, numbers is the language of science. You gotta be able to do math in order to communicate certain concepts. And so we can't avoid it altogether, but we certainly are gonna minimize it. And there are a lot of, this course is done by multiple measures. What that means is that you're not just graded on the exams, you're graded by a number of things like homework, your participation, projects, extra credit. And if you can do all that, you should be able to get through this class. You should even be able to ace this class if you are able to do decent in the weekly quizzes. And the weekly quizzes are only 50 points. Your final is worth 160 points, but it comes in 2 parts. One is multiple choice, and guess what? You get to take it twice, okay? It takes the questions from the pool that this book is based on, and the questions will be similar when you take it a second time to improve your grade, but they will be different. So they're not going to be exactly the same because it basically takes it based on random selections of the question, but at least you take it twice. And then the second part of that final is just writing an essay on certain things about society, okay? And if you do that well, you usually will get 90% if you do the research and give a good argument. So it's not difficult to again, do well in the final. But again, this course is graded based on multiple measures. And hopefully by the time you are done with this course, you learn a little bit about forensic science when they have a CSI episode. what exactly are they doing in order to find the evidence, and like the chain of custody, what's all that about? It's very important. um, we have a section on that, or about the chemicals that you take in, the drugs that you take in. Why does it alter your health, or why does it alter what your senses, basically? Okay, we even have a section on uh, cannabinoids, because these days most of the states, and maybe with the new administration, if the new administration gets elected, they might decriminalize marijuana. So a lot of people do take it for health reasons or for just relaxation. You want to know what exactly is the chemical that is such a controversy in marijuana. So we cover that. We talk about energy, why we're running out of energy, what are the alternative energies that we're trying to get to, why is coal so bad for us? And it's not so bad in terms of the energy, it's just so bad for our environment. Then we also talk about the biotechnology that's happening out there. You know, the Nobel Prize in Chemistry this year was awarded to two women. And that's really good, because women have been doing a lot of the work, but yet they don't have much of the awards in the Nobel Prize. So this year is really special because two women won the Nobel Prize. And they won the Nobel Prize on a amazing technological breakthrough. It's called CRISPR, where they can actually go into our DNA, our genes, and take out a section of our DNA and put in the correct one so that we can eliminate genetic disease. They're actually doing that for sickle cell anemia. I just saw an episode the other day where someone got their sickle cell anemia gene replaced by the correct one. And this person, before, they couldn't run, but now they have a different feeling altogether. And that's the world that we live in, the science that we're progressing. It's amazing. But again, um, you know, we take two steps forward and one step back, because look what's going on around us with the coronavirus. Okay. We don't really know if we're getting that from, say, a bat in Asia, or whether it was a weaponized virus. So that question is still out there, but it's certainly affecting the whole world. Anyway, let me get on with the syllabus, because I really want to take you on a tour of the course. That way you can find things and you know what to expect. Okay, so this is how it's sort of arranged. Everything's accessed through the internet. Okay, the main portal is Canvas, and through Canvas you can go to my website and you can take the quizzes and see the announcement, or email me. But the lecture notes are really housed in my website. Canvas points to that, so it looks seamless. But in terms of how you're graded, it's really the weekly quizzes, the homework, the discussion, and the discussions about topics that the current chapters are covering. You don't have to do the discussion, but if you do the discussion, you get bonus points. Okay, every time, even if you get it wrong, you still get a point for participation. But if you get it right, then you get bonus points. Some discussions are required, some discussions are extra credit. There's a lot of bonus points opportunity. And so if you mess up in like an exam or forget a homework, you can certainly make it up through the discussion or the extra credit. And you have a lot of extra credit this week, and you want to take advantage of that, because when you have these extra credit points, then you don't have to worry about getting like 100% on the weekly quiz. If you get like a 35 and yet you do 5 points bonus points, the 35 easily converts to a 45 out of 50. So again, there are opportunities in there. The idea of this course is really to make you aware of science and to give you an understanding of what science is doing in terms of progressing or making society better, making the quality of life better for us. And it's, you know, there's a lot of science out there. There's biology, there's physics, there's different type of anthropology and all that, but chemistry really is the central science, because chemistry is about the building block that makes this universe. And if you understand that, then you can extrapolate to how things operate and the properties that they have. Let me go on. This is the course objective. Again, the main theme that I really want you guys to get out of this course is to see how science have affected our society, especially in two areas, biotechnology and our environment. That's especially true again because of COVID. So this is our objective for this course. Make sure that you download the course syllabus and read it because, and you could use it as well when you take the syllabus quiz, okay? You could certainly use that as a reference when you take the syllabus quiz. And it is 50 points, but it's an open book, open notes, and all the questions will be based on the syllabus quiz. This is the textbook that you see in the bottom here, but you know, this is a fairly old textbook, but it's still a textbook that is really good for this course because it covers so many things. The most recent version of this textbook really just concentrates on forensic science, and I want a broader coverage of society. So I'm kind of sticking with this. Plus, I've been able to find it in OER, so you guys don't have to buy the textbook. Textbooks actually, you guys can find it as a PDF, and I'll show you where that's found. If you just use that, then this course is basically free because you don't have to pay for anything except, of course, for registering in this course. Okay.
So we don't have to get a book then?
No, you don't need a book. Yeah. Okay.
But do we need the calculator that it says right there?
You do need a calculator, okay, because you will do a bunch of numbers. But if you have a smartphone, you can do a calculator function, okay? So you don't even need a calculator if you've got a smartphone. So
thank you.
No problem.
I have a quick question.
Yes, what's up?
So, okay, so this class is fully online and there's no Zoom meetings, correct?
Yeah, this Zoom meeting's totally optional. I'll give you extra credit for taking some of your time. But yeah, this is fully online.
Thank you.
Okay. The exams are given in a window.
Yeah.
It's mandatory that you come in at a certain time, but you do have to take the exam within like the weekend, for example, the window that's provided.
Yeah.
And you'll be given their time, but you have a window to complete it.
Okay, perfect. Okay. Thank you.
So again, these are the learning outcomes. The learning outcomes is something that we've put out a few years ago, 10 years ago, to kind of give the instructors and the students an idea of what this course is about. It's basically the idea that if you complete this course, what is the one thing that you should remember, or the few things that you should remember from this course? And so this is the learning outcomes. And remember this page right here, it's in your syllabus because there's probably a question in the syllabus quiz where you have to just copy a learning outcome from the syllabus and then just paste it in the question. That way I know that you've at least taken a look at it. This is a schedule. It's also in the syllabus and you can see it's pretty ambitious. We cover 2 chapters a week. If you just read the chapters, you should be good. There are other multimedia in Canvas that is optional, but it sort of puts in a little spice on the material that we're covering. Like for example, chapter 1 covers water. Why is water covered in chapter 1? Well, it's really the most important chemical in terms of life as we know it. Without water, life as we know it would not exist. And yet we take it for granted. But did you know that LA stole its water from like the Mammoth area? They basically just built a trench that siphoned all that water into the LA area. LA, the city, would not be there without that. It's called the Mulholland Project. And so you actually see that in the 6-part series, how they back in the 1920s, how they actually diverted all that water into the LA area. And now that city is busting. But we also have that problem these days because every few years we have a drought and we're running out of water. So that, again, that it gives you a clue of history and science in terms of the topics that we are covering. So this is the schedule, and you can see that in the first week, that's this weekend. I apologize for giving you so much work this weekend, but they're all extra credit. You have the choice of either doing it or not. If you miss it, of course, then you don't get the bonus points, and they're basically worth like 5 points apiece. Okay, introduce yourself, that's required, but all the greens that you see are extra credit. So you can get basically 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 points extra credit by just doing these first set of homework. The discussion could be extra credit or mandatory. If you do it, you do get 1 point participation. There's a syllabus quiz that you see right here. Okay, that's not due until the 23rd. That would be the second week. But there is a quiz this weekend because we can't just ease you into the course and give you a week of doing all this work. It's shortened already, so we need to you need to read chapters 1 and 2, and then you'll be ready for this quiz. It opens on a Friday, the 16th, and it closes by midnight on the 18th. There's only it's only worth 50 points. Okay, and it's generally multiple choice or matching or short response question. So that's what that is, and it's based on the reading. If there's any extra credit in the quiz, like instead of 50 points, it's worth like 55 points, it'll be based on the movies. But if you don't watch the movie, or even if you guess and you get those questions right, then it's extra credit. It's based out of 50 points. Okay, and then so you can see there are 2 discussion board question. One is due tomorrow, the other one's due Friday. And if you just, like the first one, what in your daily lives, if you read about the scientific method, you guys actually do that in your daily lives? And I just want an example. Okay, like for example, my car wouldn't start one day, and I'm trying to figure out, okay, did the car break down? But you do the process of elimination to figure out what's going on. First thing that you would do, of course, is check the battery to see if it's active. If the battery is good, then you have to dig in deeper. But that's the scientific method, where you have a question, you have a problem, and then you try and provide a hypothesis. That is, you try and find an explanation. My battery is dead. Okay, that's my hypothesis. And so then you do the experiment. You take the battery and you take a voltmeter and you see if it still has the correct voltage. That's the experiment. And then if you realize that, okay, that experiment gave me some finding, my battery is dead, then you correct the problem. But that right there is an example of the scientific method. Okay, you see that in the broader context of how we are able to make discoveries like this COVID virus solutions. We are using the scientific method to find a vaccine for that. Okay, so again, there's a couple of discussion questions for every chapter, for every week, I mean, 1 discussion question per chapter. And sometimes I won't have time to grade it, but I'll just give you the points, okay? So it will benefit you if you put something down, okay? I generally will read it, especially like the intro part, but sometimes I just get stuck grading other things and prioritizing things. And so if you answer that and I see that, okay, you made an attempt to do that, then I might give you credit. So again, you can see right here in yellow, these are the weekly quizzes, and we cover about 2 chapters per week. And then at the end, we have our final. The last week, we have our final, and comes in 2 parts. The multiple choice part is due early in the week, and then Friday, the essay part is due. You also have 2 projects. One project's really fun, okay? What you do is you go to the site that I recommend, look for a demonstration that looks like it's fun to do, but safe. It's gotta be fun or safe. Videotape yourself doing it and then post it, and then you get points for that. You first need to let me know what experiment you're doing. Give me a short outline, the safety precaution, and then just videotape it. So there's a lot of interesting things that you can do out there, and people seem to always gravitate to the same type of experiment, but it's good to actually do a little bit of science on your own in this course, just to see that it's not magic, it's for real. Okay, so and it's based on science. And then the other project is based on a theme. Sometimes I do Nobel Prize winners, sometimes I do elements, sometimes I do drugs. This year, I'm not. It's going to be on genetic diseases. And so, what you want to do is there's a list that I give you, and or infectious diseases this particular fall. There's a list that I gave you. COVID is not one of them, but there's a list that I give you. You want to select that because it's going to be a first come first serve, and then you want to look up information about that, and then write like a presentation. It's a presentation, not so much a paper, where you give me information about that, and then um, just educate your classmate about what an infectious disease, what that infectious disease does, and what type of cures we are looking for, or if we're even looking for a cure for that infectious disease. So that's basically the theme of what's going on in today's world. If you can do research on a disease and see what type of science goes behind in finding a cure, then you understand what type of science we are doing today in trying to find a vaccine for the COVID-19 virus. Okay, so it's in that theme. So that's what the schedules looks like. Okay, so there's also a deadline, and I'll show you where that's found in Canvas. And then there's, let me get this right here, is the chapters in the textbook. So these are the 14 chapters in the textbook. Like I said, understanding our world is actually about water. Matter, properties, changes, and measurements, actually about forensic science. Understanding atoms, a little bit more about molecules and the chemicals that make up different things. Here's a chapter on drugs, and in here I throw in marijuana and cannabinoids. Here's a section towards the end on biotechnology, and we talk about CRISPR, the technology that won the Nobel Prize this year. So in here, we have a bunch of sections, and it's a variety of topics, but you need a little bit of science to understand the how it works. And that's how we use chemistry. That's how we introduce chemistry to you, is through these different themes in each chapter. Okay, this is just a reminder that you guys should do the reading. It helps, especially when you're taking the quiz. The homework also is based on the reading, and it's worth 20 points, and you can take it a number of times. If you don't get it right, do it again. Okay, I think you get about 3 or 4 chances in getting it right. The highest score is what is recorded. So keep that in mind, and it will help you with the weekly quizzes. And you don't have to buy anything for that. It's found within Canvas. Okay. Meetings are based on you guys logging in. If you log in, I can see exactly at the end of the semester the number of times you've logged in. That's part of your participation. If you don't log in within like 7 days, I mean, if you log in only on a Sunday, that's fine. That's when you want to take the test and read the chapters, that's fine. If, however, you don't log in within 7 days, it tells me that you're inactive. I'll fire you an email, see what's going on. If we don't resolve things in terms of why you haven't been participating, and you don't respond to my email, then you might be dropped. Okay, so keep that in mind. This is the grading scheme. You can see that we have 7 quizzes, and those quizzes cover about 2 chapters a week, and they're 50 points. Then that's a total of 300. When we have part 1, final, and part 2. Part 1's actually 110 points, not 100 points. Homework's about 24 because there are 14 chapters, 20 points apiece. That's 280 points. We drop 2. Okay, drop your lowest 2. If you miss a homework, that's the one that's dropped. So don't ask for an extension. Just go in there and look at the questions and try them, because if you get it wrong, you can do it again. Okay, but if you don't make an attempt at all, then you get a 0. Okay, and you don't want to do that. That'll be the one that you drop. If you miss 2, that's fine. If you miss 3, that third one gets a 0. You don't want to do that, because to pass this course, you need 600 points. That's 60%. It's not a very high threshold. And if you just keep up with the work, it's no problem getting 600 points. It's really when you don't do the work and you get zeros on these assignments, that you start reducing your chance of gaining that 600 points. Of course, if you get like 900 points or better, and that's not difficult to do because there's so much extra credit, then you get an A in this class. In the end, I do curve it depending on the distribution of the class, and sometimes I've dropped the A to as low as 880 points. The whole course is based on a 1,000-point system. These percentage are, if you multiply it by 10, that's how many points each are worth. 240 points for the homework, 50 points for the syllabus quiz, 350 points for the weekly quizzes. That's 35% out of 1,000 points. So at any point in the course, you can take your total points divided by the total points available, and you know where you stand. And I'll also put in Canvas your status. I'll tell you your total points to date and your percentage based on the total, so you know where you stand. Okay. And then, of course, this is the criteria for the grade. But again, I give you this in the beginning, but I generally relax it towards the end. I do not relax the bottom part. Actually, the C drops down to about 60%, 600 points. I say 65% just to scare the few people who don't think they can reach that, but I do drop it to 60% at the end. So if you need this class to transfer because you need to graduate, it's difficult to get 60% in this class. Okay, but you do need to do the work. The rest of this, it's in the syllabus, just gives you tidbits information about demonstrating your work, the quizzes and how to handle them. We don't have a midterm in this class, okay? We do have a final. We just have weekly quizzes covering each chapter, and those quizzes concentrate on those chapters. They don't cover back like if we have a quiz on chapters 7 and 8, it'll concentrate on those chapters. But remember that the knowledge that you gain back in the early chapters, like doing significant figures, you need to bring that in to the later chapters, because it's a learning process. It's a process by which you build up your knowledge in order to make that understanding. Okay, so read this at your leisure, because I see that we only have 25 minutes, and I really want to talk to you guys about navigating Canvas so that you guys can read this. I just wanted to share with you the grading criteria. So you should see Confer Zoom, but this is our class. If you go to the home page, you can see that this is where you were directed as soon as you were able to access Canvas. Always go here to see the latest announcement, okay? And within the home page, you can access the syllabus, but you can also see it up here, okay? You can also see it up here. And then also in the home page, I'm gonna show you a couple of buttons that are really helpful. Sorry about jumping everywhere. My computer is jumpy. Right here, under that would give you access to my website, okay? But right here is really nice to see, because if you go to this page, you get all the lecture notes that I have for each chapter. So just go to the Google Drive for this class. So here would be where you would upload your video for that project. But here under lecture, If you click on here, what you should see are the lecture notes for this class. Chapters 1 through 14, okay? And then this right here is your e-text. So if you had a hard time finding, downloading the e-text because it is a large file, you can get it through the Google Drive. And this is the PDF file for that. It's a PDF. So that's the home page. You guys are going to be spending, the other thing I want you guys to see, I already talked to you guys about the mail. Go over here to the calendar, because the calendar will give you a bird's eye view of the assignments that are coming up. So go to the calendar and make sure that when you are in calendar, okay, that, because you might have other Canvas courses, you select only your course. I could select, say, another class here, and then it overfills the calendar. So you have to go in here and just select the course that you want to see. And here is the assignments, and it looks pretty busy. Tomorrow, like I said, is the discussion. You need to introduce yourself by Friday. There's another discussion here. All these are extra credit right here. And you need to complete homework 1 and homework 2 by Sunday. And then you have a quiz on that first section. And then the following week, we have these things that are set. These projects right here, they're not due, but you should start looking at, if I click on this, you can go to these different, you can go to these links directly and see what it's about, or close it. I think these things are active. If I go here and I click on that, and I click here, then it takes me to the homework for that particular section, okay? But, or maybe not. Some of them are direct links, others just provide you that information. So calendar is where you will see when things are due, okay, when things are due, or when it's first announced that it's coming up. Like this one right here, Project 2, select an infectious disease. That's sort of due by the 23rd. So take a look at that so that you can give me a selection on the infectious disease that you want. So this is where you will find things. Let me go back and take you back to Canvas, especially since we only have 15 minutes and I want to keep this to an hour. This is where you see the cumulative announcements, and we've only had 2, but this is where you're going to spend a great deal of your time, the module page, okay? The first part of this module page is just to give you an idea of what the course is. Here you can download the text again, but it may be slow. So there's different ways to download the text. Or if you want to go to Amazon and try an e-text for free, you can do so. Whenever you see this, just click on that window and then it'll open up a new tab and take you to that site, okay? So try the e-text for free through Amazon. But if you pass the date in which you need to return it, then they'll charge you. But this text is pretty inexpensive. I've seen it as low as $17. Of course, the used one is $39, but you have it as a PDF, so don't buy it, okay? Let's go back to modules. So this just gives you information about the class. You want to read the syllabus for the syllabus quiz. Let's close that. And you can close any tab here by just clicking on that triangle. It's called a chevron. Here's week 1. And week 1 covers 2 modules. And the reason why it covers 2 modules, because this first module is all the extra credit assignments that are in here. Taking a tour, getting an introductions, this salutation intro video, that's what I will replace this old one with this one that we are currently doing. Solving problems style. You want to know what type of problem solver you are. And then right here, these are where you can find these extra credit assignment. Introduce yourself is not extra credit, that's mandatory. But this background information, if you click on that, it takes you here, and all you've got to do is answer the questions here, like the preview. Okay, this is based on Canvas. And here you just give me your name, tell me what type of chemistry you've had to date, what type of math you think you're comfortable with. So just give me an idea of who you are. Let's go back to that. So you can navigate all the assignments through the module page. You don't have to go out of that. Okay, what you know just gives me an idea of what science you know. Your math pretest, I give everyone 5 points for making the attempt, even if you only get 1 out of 20 correct. Okay, at least I know that you're making an attempt. Problem solver, read this right here to do this, because I want to know whether you are sort of holistic in terms of your problem solving technique, or you're sort of convergence. And it helps you in terms of thinking about solving problems to know what type of problem solver you are. And then this is a DHMO. It's about a chemical out there. And I just want you to read that particular article and tell me what you think about the chemical. And then this is your first discussion, and this is your second discussion. And then at the end, this is not due until the 23rd, the syllabus quiz, okay? But sometime this week, you should read this right here, because this is the lecture notes. Even if you just read the lecture notes, you should be good for chapter 1. And again, you need to click here to kind of see that lecture notes. Okay, and it's basically this right here. It introduces matter and things like that. So if you use this lecture notes to give you an idea of what's important in the chapter, you should be good. And then let's go back to the module. Within here, within chapter 1, let me close this because we don't want to see that anymore. Okay, within this chapter 1, okay, you will also see these optional multimedia. This is what I mean about the Mulholland project. It's a 6-part video. It's optional. You don't have to do it, but if instead of watching Netflix or Hulu, you want to watch this, then you might get some points by watching this, okay? It tells about how LA basically stole water from the Mammoth area. And then this second part talks about the periodic table, because that's what we cover in chapter 1. And then this last part talks about science. And this is a really interesting part because it tells us about how did we get here? What is the world that made of the secret of life? And these links are dead right now because whenever you try and link to YouTube, then they close it down. But I will update these links, okay? But these links up here are okay. If you ever find a dead link, let me know, because they're constantly shutting down in YouTube and then they're going back up somewhere else. But these are optionals. It's not required, but if you do look at these videos, then you might get a few points in bonus questions, okay? Let me go back. So that's chapter 1. That's chapter 1. Chapter 2 is about measurements. You always have to go back to module. There's no way to navigate within that. So right here is chapter 1. It talks about matter and classification, especially water, the periodic table. That's the lecture notes on periodic table, the scientific method. So these are the main sections that you want to read upon. These others here are optional. It says optional right there, okay? At the end of chapter 1, you can do the homework, or you can just jump to the homework directly and then start answering that. And then within the same week, you need to read chapter 2. This is a preview of chapter 2 right here. Okay. And here is what the chapter is about. It always starts with a case study. That way it sets you up about the science of what this chapter is about. Then that's the preview of chapter 2. And let's go back here. see, even though I close these things, it still opens up for some reason. But chapter 2 is about measurements and metric system. And the theme behind this is forensic science. So this right here is chapter 2. This is an optional. This tells you about more metric system, significant figures, and then there's the homework. And then after that, you can see right here, this is the link for the quiz. So you can just navigate directly through the modules to get all the assignments that you have. So that would be week 1. Let me close this and let me explain to you about week 2. Week 2 covers chapters 3 and 4. And again, there's a preview here. If you click on this right here, the very top of each chapter, it actually takes you to, well, sometimes you have to full canvas because you will get that error message. What you need to do is you need to right click. Let me show you how that works. Okay, you need to right click. So I think this was, apologize for here. If you right click, then you can get the contextual menu. And if you open in a new window or a new tab, that's really helpful because then you don't get that error message and then it just loads it directly. This is the table of contents from my lecture notes. This is where you would also get the lecture notes, but you can get all this through Canvas anyway. Structure, shape, and properties. The multimedia is this. Medicine and drug. This is the multimedia. Chemistry of cannabis, okay, or cannabinoids, all about marijuana. The only thing that was mandatory in this section is structure, shapes, and properties. All this information down here is to give you supplement information about why chemicals, medicine, drugs, and how it affects us. So let me just go through this again. Within each week, it's broken down per week and what chapters are covered in that week. Okay, I can collapse this. I can collapse this. This is what it looks like. Okay, Thanksgiving holidays, the 23rd to the 29th, nothing is due there. Last week, we're covering chapter 13 and 14. That's again about biochemistry. And then the very last week of class, is finals week right here, okay? And in that particular week, you guys have a part 1 and part 2 of your final. Where do you find the projects that I talked about? It's at the bottom. Student project number 1, the magic of water. If you click on that right there, it gives you directions on how to find your projects. And these are the websites in which you can select a project and just basically copy that demonstration. There are 3 things that you need to do. You need to pick one, that's 5 points. You need to give me an outline. The outline tells me what you're going to do and the safety precaution. That's another 5 points. And then there's the project itself, which is about 20 points, okay, when you take a video. And it doesn't have to be complicated. You just need to be able to share it and have fun. And so these are the links. A, B, and C is where you go to provide that information to me so that I can give you a grade. These right here are where you can find examples. This right here gives you a description of that project. So that's the first project. The big project is this. It's about infectious disease. This right here will give you a description of the project. And if you click on that, it gives you an idea. If you just scroll to the bottom, these are the deadlines. These are the infectious disease that you guys can select from. Pick them early because the popular ones get picked first. And what you need to do is you need to give me 4. And depending on who picks first, they get that. And then if another person picks that, then I look at their second choice. And if that's already been taken, I look at their third choice. Usually by the time I get to the fourth choice, then that hasn't been selected. But if you give it to me early, and where do you submit it? You submit it over here in terms of your project submission. You just go to this site right here. I gotta scroll down again. Okay. You just go over here and tell me, select an infectious project. You just click on that and tell me your 4. That's 5 points. Tell me what the outline is based on that. That's another 5 points. Then write out your project on this thing called Prezi. You need to create it using Prezi. Okay, and I give you a tutorial on how to handle that software. It's basically a dynamic slideshow. So you want to create your project. That in itself is worth 40 points, but when you submit that, if you submit it, I give you 10 points. And that's because you guys have to evaluate your classmates and give them a grade. Everyone's going to pick 8, and I'll tell you which 8 to select from, and you rank it in terms of that. The ones that have the strongest ranking will get, well, if you participate in the peer review and you do a good job on that, you get 25 points. Okay, and then those who do a superior job in their presentation, they'll get 40 points. And then depending on the ranking and how well the quality of that work, you can get 40 all the way down to about 20. Okay, if you just kind of put something together and don't really give a lot of information, I'll give you credit, but you won't get as high credit as if you did some good job. So that's, again, this 2 projects together is about 100 points. Okay, so again, there's no math involved. It's just looking up something, especially the demonstration, and then sharing it. So in the end, if you look at the grade distribution, you can see that if you don't do any portion of an assignment, like if you miss a couple of weekly quizzes, if you miss like the projects, then that automatically may drop you a letter grade. But it's still 600 points to get a C or better in this class. And then there's a whole bunch of extra credit that I give you in order to make up for those assignments that you don't do very well, or maybe you miss. But that's really all I have in terms of for this particular course. One more thing I do want to mention is that if you go to my website, you'll find this course right here, and all you got to do is enter here, and you could get all the information that I just talked about, the different units, the lecture notes on here. You won't find the text, the e-text. That's because I don't want it available to the whole world. It's sort of behind Canvas, and only you guys have access to that e-text. But this is where you find it. If you want to see a sample exam, then these are some of the questions that I may have asked in the past. So you get an idea of questions that may be in there. These are a little bit more difficult, but most of your questions are mostly conceptual, okay? But again, that's basically it. If you